All right, Magic Makers. Today we're talking about something that I know all y'all can relate to, but you don't want to talk about it. In fact, 77% of women report feeling more stressed and they can't even function when they are that stressed. And I'm not talking about emails or carpools or the never-ending to-do list. I'm talking about like real life stress. Like, oh my God, why is my belly fat not budging? Why do I have these ridiculous rage-inducing mood swings, the sleep, the underlying, oh my God, is this my life now? Today, I am bringing in a powerhouse to talk all about that. I am bringing Miss Stephanie Crassweller in, and we are going to talk all about hormones, metabolism, all the things, so that you can be driving down the road or walking down the road and not feel like you are batshit crazy. We are going to talk about how to decode the signs of stress and what to actually do about it without quitting and moving to Bali unless that brings you joy. So, Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I would love to go live in Bali.
Me too. Like it was so funny because like how many times have you've said, "Oh, I'm just gonna like check out of my life and I'm gonna move to whatever country and sell coconuts on the beach." And then it's like, how do people actually do that? And then you're like, "Yeah, I'm bored. I'm bored, shit ass bored right now."
Yes, 100%.
So yeah, welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I always like to start with definitions because I know so just for listeners, I think you all know this. I am a recovering stress ball. Like, we should start having like stress recovery meetings, like AA meetings, because I am
Yes.
recovering one and I do fall into that trap from time to time. You know, so many women, and I'm sure your clients say this to you, "Ugh, girl, you just don't know my life. This is just how it is."
Yes. Or they're like, I'm not stressed. This is just normal. Or it used to be way worse before. I'm like, it does not matter. It
Yeah,
does not matter.
right. So like, why do you think stress is so misunderstood?
Oh man, again, I could talk about this all day. So, when we're talking about stress, it's not just like, oh, I'm stressed where I feel anxious or I'm stressed
Mm,
because I feel all this overwhelm. It's not like it's everything. It's everything, including like our phones. That's a stimulus. It stresses our
yeah.
body out. Taking care of sick parents. We're go, go, go. We're cutting calories. We're cutting carbs. We're doing a bunch of cardio. Our sleep sucks, yet we're still getting up early. We're skipping our meals, somehow thinking working out is going to give us this extra energy, even though we feel like garbage. And then
Mm.
we're having just this crappy little salad that we don't even enjoy with five almonds for lunch. Like, we're stressed out and we're not doing anything to support our bodies, right? And then we're also like, I gotta be a good wife and I have to be a
Mm.
good mom and I have to be a good daughter and a good sister and I gotta take care of my parents who are sick and there's bills. And then someone has the audacity to ask me what's for dinner. Like it's a lot of stress, right? And what we don't realize is stress is when our body has to meet a demand, right? That we
Yeah.
don't feel we have the capacity for. And a lot of the time we don't have the capacity because we're actually not eating enough food most of the time because we're all just, I want to be thin, I want to lose weight, right? And then we hit
Hmm.
perimenopause and menopause and this hormonal storm, and it just feels like your body gets hit by a truck. And it is a lot, right? And then we go back to what we used to do of, cutting our calories, cutting our carbs, doing a bunch of cardio, but it doesn't work anymore. Or what
Mm.
used to work it just isn't really doing what it used to do. It's like before I could run a little bit more and, cut out my bread and I'd be fine. And now it's like I'm trying everything and nothing's working anymore. And the thing is that stress is going to be the thing that's really preventing us from seeing progress that nobody really thinks about. And so
Right.
when we think about stress too, we have to realize that as our hormones start to fluctuate, and this can happen in your 20s, this can happen in your 30s, right? When we start seeing hormones start to fluctuate, estrogen starts declining, progesterone starts declining, they're having their little song and dance where they have a mind of their own. Our
Mm.
stress tolerance decreases a lot. So before we could handle a 9 out of 10 out of stress before we saw all this chaos kind of start to happen. Now, all it takes is a 5 out of 10. And now we're seeing cortisol, our stress hormone, go up. And what happens when this stress hormone goes up, it's like we're in this fight or flight state all the time. And
Right.
it's when we're on, right? Stress is when we're on. So,
Mm.
podcasting, this will be a stress to my body. I have an aura ring
Yes.
every time I podcast. It's like you've had elevated stress. And even if you find it fulfilling, like when I speak on stages, when I go to events, when I'm at conferences, like I love it. I feel so fulfilled, but that is a stress on my body. So then we think about people like teachers and
Oh God.
nurses and stay-at-home moms who are all just giving, 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 giving. Even if you love it, that's a big stress on your body. And then our hormones start to shift. And so before we could handle a 9 out of 10, before cortisol goes up, and when cortisol goes up, we see our hormones decline faster. We see our blood sugar gets worse. Even if you're fasting and cutting calories and doing all the right things, cortisol will tell your body we need more energy to meet this stressful demand and just pump sugar into your bloodstream, which can cause insulin resistance even if you're eating low carb and fasting and doing all the right things. We see that when cortisol goes up, our thyroid function slows down. When our thyroid slows down, we get more tired. We have a harder time burning calories. Our body is not good at burning calories. If our body is not good at burning calories, weight loss, very hard. Weight gain,
Yeah.
super easy. We see
Mhm.
muscle mass starts to decrease. We have more inflammation. We see our liver detoxification takes a hit. We have more bloating, more constipation. We have bloating that gets worse throughout the day. And we're all like, no, the answer is I must eat less and move more, which
Right.
only makes cortisol go up higher, making all of these things happen. And before you could get away with it because you had hormones to help buffer that stress response.
Right.
Now that they're declining, now it's only a 5 out of 10. So you
Right.
had this like big dinner plate with all this stress on it. Now that dinner plate has turned into like a side salad plate, but you haven't taken anything off. In fact, you're just adding
Right.
more stuff
Oh
on there,
God,
right?
yes.
Just adding and adding and adding. And we're like, but I haven't changed anything and I'm gaining weight. And it's like, yes, your actions may not have changed, but internally what your body can tolerate has changed. And we think somehow we're going to have more energy and
Hmm.
lose weight and feel better if we cut all our calories, cut all our carbs, and do insane amounts of cardio, that it's somehow going to make us less stressed and feel better, which the math ain't mathin', and we see it all the time.
Right. And it's really funny because as you like mentioned all of these things, so many of my women, I will say to them, it's that for you, it's probably not the scale weight. For many of you, what you just described, it's the inflammation. It's all of
Hmm.
the, that like all the pressures that we're putting on ourselves that we are just not like you said, letting anything off the plate. So it's like we just keep going back to the buffet of stress
Hmm.
and just adding more to our plates. And so as someone who's listening here, they're probably like, because you laid it out pretty clear, like all the things that, I look back at my 30-year-old self and I'm like, God damn, like how the hell did I get
Yes.
all of that done? And you're right. They're like, my aura ring says the same thing to me. Like I'm
Hmm.
sitting here and I'm like, we're just having a great conversation. Yet both you and I are like, oh, we got an audience to make sure that they're engaged. We're going to make sure this is going to be a great podcast so that I can get the next podcast or another guest or whatever. And so like all of that is kind of like, kind of
Hmm.
background here in my mind. And I'm like, I don't feel stressed at all. This is just like a great afternoon for me.
Hmm.
This is
Yep, we
fun. I'm like,
see that all the
I'm
time. Or
awesome at
people,
running my mouth.
yeah, exactly. Well, and people are also like, well, it used to be way worse before. And it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, so I've had lots of childhood trauma. I've had so much grief and loss and stress and living in not great situations. And so my nervous system is very sensitive to stress.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it's like I've done the therapy. I
Hmm.
feel like the best I've ever felt. But my like threshold for the amount of stress that I can handle is low. And so I need to be so much more aware. Like if I'm going into a fat loss phase and I'm cutting calories, 1,600 calories is the absolute lowest I can go,
Yeah.
and I cannot be there for more than 8 weeks. If I'm there for 8 weeks, all of a sudden the scale jumps up. I am slammed with inflammation. I'm not sleeping. I'm feeling terrible. I had to go through a whole 7 week like reset where I wasn't working out. I was back to
Yeah.
eating 2,200 calories a day. I like had to focus on de-stressing because my body was so inflamed and just like hyper reactive to stuff. And so even if you do the work and you do the therapy, you have to realize your body is still carrying a lot of that. It's years and years and years of stuff that we've put on ourselves. And so now your body's going to be more sensitive, especially once your hormones start to decline. And so we
Yeah.
need to work with it and realize that sometimes doing less and actually eating more and tailoring back the kind of exercise you're doing can be so much more beneficial for your body because it allows that inflammation to come down. It allows the blood sugars to stabilize. That opens your fat burning pathways, making fat loss even possible. Because if your fat burning pathways are blocked, and you're stuck in this storage pathway, your body is constantly being given the signal, we have enough, let's store,
Right.
even though you're eating less and you're moving more. And so we need to understand it's not just calories in, calories out. Like hormones play a role here, stress plays a role here.
Right.
Like there's so much more. And so to have that be oversimplified, you see it on social media all the time, and
Yes.
it's brutal because that
Your
also doesn't make you
cortisol.
feel better,
Right.
right?
It's like look at your face. You have cortisol face, and basically what you just unpacked. There's so many, it's like
Layers.
I'm gonna call it, it's like a parfait. Like it's an intricate
Yes.
parfait, right, of stress. And there's a couple of things that you said that like really, I think, especially for us women who were born in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a lot of shit that happened in our lives
Yes.
that nowadays that kids don't wouldn't even fathom going through.
Yes.
And if I like, like some of the things, like as I'm like hearing people talk about stuff, I'm like, oh shit, that happened to me too. And you didn't think of it as traumatizing,
Hmm.
but there were times that you did not feel safe.
Yes.
And and as you described it, that safety, like if this is like the zero for safety, there were probably plenty of times in our lives that we did shit that we shouldn't have been doing.
Oh,
And
100%.
our safety kind of like brought us up to this alert. But you just did it because that's what you did.
Hmm.
And now, like you said, like you're set here. So now
Hmm.
like any little thing, being on this podcast, driving in traffic can,
Hmm.
bring you up to here. And like all of a sudden, your stress levels, unbeknownst to you, are going on off the Richter scale.
Hmm. 100%. And like you also have to think that there are so many changes in that perimenopausal, menopausal time in your life too, right? Like you're expected to be at the height of your career, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're really driving to whatever it might be. We're also like having like kids young, like kids are we're having kids later. So we have young
Right.
kids in that same time of our life. So we're trying to juggle career, kids, being a wife. Then we also have the fact that we have like sick parents that maybe we have to
Mm-hmm.
like consider like who's going to take care of them. Those like there's just so much. And I feel like we also spend so much time being like, oh, like the next milestone is I'm going to get married and then I'm going to have kids and I'm going
That,
to hit my career. And then you have this 20-year gap of like retirement,
yeah,
hopefully. I don't have a dream for 20 years. Like what's the next thing that I'm looking forward to? It's like you're
right,
stuck in this in between of flipping chapters that you like forgot you have this whole season of life that you've never really thought about, right? Where it's
right.
like you've dreamed about getting married, you dreamed about having kids, you dreamed about the career. No one dreamed 50 to 75,
No,
right? Or 45 to 60, right?
or I remember like in my 20s, my friends and I would sit around and you would have this like this is what my life is going to be like. So you like
Yeah.
create this storybook, this ideal scene of what your life
Yeah.
is, and then you kind of get here in this like midlife space. And what if your Prince Charming turned out to be Prince Loser, right? So now
Yep.
like you might be looking for Prince Charming number two.
Yep.
Or you might be like looking around and being like, is this what I signed up for? Like this guy, I thought he
Mm-hmm.
was gonna be the one.
Yep.
Or, I thought my kids were gonna be, rock stars and like they're just regular kids. And,
Feral.
so right. And you had all of these like expectations of like, these are all the boxes I'm gonna check.
Hmm.
And you get there and you check the boxes and it's not what you thought it was, or some of your boxes are still unchecked and
Yep.
you're asking yourself, is this what I want?
Yep. 100%. And it's like it's that the uncertainty, feelings of
Yes.
uncertainty are a very big stress to our body. There was a study done that said that that's one of the top two things that will trigger stress is uncertainty. So
Yeah.
when we don't have clarity of what our future looks like or something happens that we were not prepared for, whether it be, a divorce, a breakup, a passing of someone, a job change, a move, all those things trigger so much uncertainty. And then
Mhm.
we also now aren't certain what the heck our body's going to do tomorrow because we're not feeling in control. And that's so much stress, so much stress. And so we don't realize it's not just the physical things that we're going through, it's also the cognitive side of things. Like we know negative thinking and that spiraling
Right.
shoots cortisol up like crazy. And like the first thing we do is we open our phones and like I
Hmm.
had Dr. Jodine Carrington on my podcast and she's like, yeah, the first thing you do is you open your phone and you're just pissed off because so and so's already been up for an hour and she already hit the gym and this person posted their cute family photos and I didn't do that yet. And we scroll and watch things to unwind, but really it just like it's disassociating. It like
Right.
triggers negative thoughts. Like it's crazy how much that aspect of things can really trigger that stress response and make it really hard to lose weight, right? And feel healthy, feel your best. And it's hard, especially like for the overachievers, like that
Yes.
comparisonitis, I like to call it, is very, very hard on you. Very hard on
Right.
you.
And I know the women listening to this show, we are A plus plus, always trying to get the extra credit,
Hmm.
um, type of folk. But the one thing I want to steer us to is one thing you said that someone might miss over, and I liked what you just said, is that so many women, when you go into a fat loss phase, and you just said it was a phase, right? So let's just use the operative word, friends, phase.
Hmm.
Wasn't like
Not
this is my
forever.
life. Right. You said phase. And then you said all of a sudden my body was like, girlfriend, we're not happy
Hmm.
here. And most people use that girlfriend whisper to be like, double down.
Oh
And
yeah.
you
No.
and
That's the
you said,
time to wave the white flag.
right. And you said, you know what? I didn't do enough work. My body's not ready. And
Hmm.
I need to like pull back,
Yep.
regroup, reassess. Not
Hmm.
give up, but just be like, okay, what's going on right now? Because I
It's a
see
detour. Yep.
right. Because I see so many women will, and you see it too, you're on social media. I'm going to the Turks and Caicos in 2 weeks. What can I do to lose weight? And you see
Nothing.
these ridiculous comments back that you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, like I read them and I'm like horrified that like everyone could come up with some way to lose 400 pounds in 4 minutes short of cutting off a limb.
Oh man, it's crazy though, because also on that caveat, losing weight right before a trip is the worst thing you could ever possibly do because your body is like a sponge after a fat loss phase. And you know where all those martinis are going to go to?
Mhm.
Your belly. Like, because your
Right.
body is going to hold on to everything. And so if you're 2 weeks out, sorry, sister, like this should have been like, we're talking 6 months before, make sure your body is ready, go into fat loss, come out of it so you feel good and can maintain and enjoy your holidays instead of just looking back with like regret of
Right.
woulda, coulda, shouldas, feeling like crap, feeling self-conscious, whatever it might be, not sleeping well. Like, no, no,
When
no,
was
no,
the
no.
last time you had a spontaneous vacation? It's probably been like 20 years since someone
Yes.
called me like with a 2 week notice to go on a
Yeah,
vacation. Nine
that
times
doesn't
out of
happen.
10, you're corralling kids, pets, this, that,
Yeah.
rejigging your life for like 6 months in order to go on this vacation.
Yes, 100%. And I think the big thing too that I like to remind women, especially people who are very type A, overachievers, is that we're looking at better, not perfect. And
Yes.
so, like, I made a post the other day, and it was all about if you are focusing on being better, it keeps you curious. If you focus on being
Mhm.
perfect, it makes you feel like giving up. If you are focused on being better, that keeps you focused on the process, whereas perfect just keeps you focused on the outcome. You wake up every day going, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Whereas better is, hey, I did better than yesterday and I'm going to do better than tomorrow, right? Better helps you like build that momentum, whereas wait, like trying to be perfect will make you put things off until 2 weeks before the vacation, right?
Right.
Better is going to encourage you to aim for growth, whereas like perfect is like, no, you got to be here right now, today already. Better
Yeah.
allows you to have some grace for yourself, to allow yourself to fail forward, to learn from those mistakes. Whereas perfect is like, you didn't do it, shame on you. Shame on you. You're just filled with all this
Right.
shame that's so crippling. You can't move forward. It just keeps you stuck. And that's because every time you make a mistake, it feels like a failure. And that every time you're kind of delaying things, it just feels like defeat, right? And
Yes.
so then we're not curious, we're not consistent, we're not even hopeful anymore. All that happens is we're stuck in feeling and shame. We're comparing ourselves to everyone else. We're stuck in this all nothing thinking. And then we're just stuck in, just having to be so perfect and putting this crazy burden and pressure on ourselves that nobody else has asked for, which is so stressful.
Agreed. It's like we're our own worst critic. It's like I always say
Mhm.
that my inner critic is she's a gang member. She is just like straight up like trying to like beat me into whatever like the weight loss gang society. Uh,
Mhm.
but as someone's listening, and I want, first of all, ladies, if you're listening, we're not making fun of you. I say these
No,
things.
this is our lives. Yeah.
I say this humorously because I want you to just like pause and laugh at yourself because I was that crazy person too. Like I was like on
Hmm.
vacation. There was no vacation. I was like Googling restaurants and workouts for my
Hmm.
vacation. So like I get that. And I lived that life for way longer than I want to admit to you right now. And so if you're there, I want this to be a pause, because it's like
Hmm.
Stephanie sees it all the time. We've lived that life. And I'm like, you
Hmm.
know what? I don't want my second half of my life to be that.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah, it's like the average person gets 80 summers.
yeah,
80 summers.
yeah,
Like
and
midlife, that midlife point is technically 41.
yeah. And I look at like my parents live in Florida, and I go and I sit in the waiting area waiting to get on the plane, and I see how many wheelchairs are being waited. Like how many wheelchairs
Hmm.
are either waiting to be, push people off of the plane or waiting to push people on the plane. And every time I'm like, not gonna be me. Like
Yep.
it's just like I don't, and I feel like why do we have to have that to be your wake up call, right?
Hmm.
And every time I come back, I tell all my clients, okay, I just got back from Florida. I'm like, who wants to be waiting for a wheelchair at the end of at the end of the flight?
Yep.
Who wants to have a cane? It's like my grandmother made it to 103. She didn't use a cane until she was 100.
That's incredible. But it's true. It's like 1 in 3 women end up in a nursing home.
Yeah,
Do you want to be that grandma that like your kids have to bribe your grandkids to come see you once a month for an
yeah,
hour? Or do you want to be that grandma that's like out there and is not watching the soccer game from a screen? They get to be there in person. They get asked to babysit, right? And I think we get so caught up in we're uncomfortable now and want to lose weight right now that we don't realize the extreme methods that we use can actually breed disease. And then
yeah,
we're taking years off of our life. So, for example, when we abuse the fasting and we abuse the low carb and we're low calorie for too long, those things are technically supposed to open our fat burning pathways, which are great. It helps us lose weight. But the most important part is it helps support inflammation, like bring that down, and it allows your body to clean up all the dead cells that are going to increase inflammation, that can replicate, that we don't want to replicate, because that can increase like cancer risk, right? It can increase cardiovascular disease risk, diabetic risk. And so not being able to get into that fat burning state because we've abused all those methods so much now makes it so you are so much more susceptible to getting these chronic conditions, which are preventable. And so,
yeah,
what you don't realize is by doing all the extreme stuff right now, you are unknowingly taking years off of your life in the future. And we see this all the time. It happened with my mom. Like, she was like, her lunch would be romaine lettuce with some tomatoes and salt and pepper. Like,
yep,
and I mean, she had tons of stress. Obviously, when we're
hmm,
stuck in that stress state, we're stuck in that growth and storage pathway. Ended up with cancer and she ended up passing away very suddenly. And it's like, don't trade your discomfort now for years off your life later. Take the
right,
time to do this right over the course of a year, over the course of 2 years, so you can live not just 10 years longer, but 10 years where you aren't in a wheelchair, where you're not
right,
with Alzheimer's, where you're not in and out of hospital, where you're not struggling with those things. And that's my biggest thing is like, people are so desperate to lose weight, and I get it. I get
yep,
it. We want to feel better and more confident and feel like ourselves again, but it's not worth it if you don't get to be here to watch your grandkids get married, to participate in all those things. Like my mom never got to meet my husband, my son, be at my
right,
wedding, see my sister graduate from university. Like she missed all those things. And it's like I do not want people to do that themselves, and like stress and fat loss, like those two things go together so hand in hand, as does
yes,
disease. I am a very strong believer that stress
yeah,
is the strongest driver of most preventable chronic conditions.
yeah.
100%.
Because it's like I look at stress as kind of like, if there's like a flywheel, like stress kind of like pops in there, and it just kind of like when I'm stressed, I don't sleep. I don't sleep,
Hmm.
certain body systems don't get a chance to reset and regrow.
Yep.
And then when then I'm not sleeping, then you know what? I'm not really alert. So it's like so it's just like all these like little things that we just say this is just my life, and it disheartens me that
Mhm.
so many of us kind of get in this spiral that we don't know how to break out of. And
Yeah,
so
and it's
like,
like just slowing down. Like, when's the last time you did something to not be productive?
mm,
Like, when did you go for a walk and not listen to music or a podcast? When have you driven in silence? When's the last time you just sat outside and like had a cup of tea with like nothing to read, no phone on you? Like,
right,
we're constantly on all of the time. Like, when's the last time you just were?
were.
And
Oh,
like that's where creativity comes from. That's where we start to understand what we actually like, what we value. It's really great for spirituality. Like if you are always being stimulated and taking things in all the time, where do you get time to rest?
Mm.
Like we don't. And like a bubble bath ain't gonna fix that, right? Like this is something you gotta
No.
do on a daily basis. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, like
Yes.
just be. But people
And
are uncomfortable because they don't want to be alone with their thoughts.
well, one, you don't want to be alone with your thoughts. And for, if you think about women our age, we were always told to be productive. So, like
Yep.
me sitting here was lazy, like
Yep.
just sitting here at my desk and I'm not typing away at my computer or I'm talking on the phone. If I'm just sitting out, looking out the window, watching a bird fly by, that's lazy.
hmm Yeah.
And
No, it's
so,
crazy.
and it's like I had a client for years. She was like a horrible sleeper. And I was like, okay, let's just like unpack. What do you do? And she's like, oh, I just pass out in front of the TV. And it's like,
There you
j-
go.
right. And for many of us, like if I was like, well, why don't we just give you a bedtime? Like you're 9 years
hmm
old. And
Yep.
she's like, well, then I just lay there. And I was like, well, you're just gonna lay there. Like
hmm
I want you to lay there for at least 15 minutes and just to kind of teach your body like your bed isn't just where you just pass out.
Yes. Exactly.
But so many of us, like she had young children and like staying up was her revenge, like I think someone called it revenge bedtime, but it was her like this is the only time of the day that she could be her.
Yep. Yep. But I think it's like you need to find pockets of time to do that for
Yeah.
yourself too, right? Like I'm really big on doing like honestly just before switching tasks, just take 6 slow, deep breaths. Like
Yeah.
we're just so rushed all the time. Like when's the last time that you were like, man, if I'm late, I'm late. Like
Yeah.
like honestly, now that I have a kids, like I'm like, oh yeah, like on time is like not really a thing anymore. I'll be honest.
Mhm.
We're like, you know, it's fine 'cause I don't want him to be in that rushed
Right.
like culture, right? So I'm
Well,
like, yeah, we do our best to get there, but if we're 5 minutes late, you know what? The world's not ending.
right. And it's
Like we
like
put so much pressure on ourselves.
I'm gonna give you latitude because I know that you're gonna be like, oh shoot, couldn't find his shoes, even though they were right in that corner over there, or like,
Literally.
oh, 20 trips to go to the bathroom or whatever it
Yep.
was. And then finally you're like, for the love of God, are we finally leaving?
Yes. Yes, exactly. But I think that's what it is though. It's like we care so much about what other people think of us and we put this like unnecessary like pressure and burden on
Yes.
ourselves that is not for us to carry. And if you tell people it will be fine. Like I'm like this with clients sometimes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to answer right away. There's no such thing as a nutritional emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Everything will be fine. And so
Right.
I'll sit and answer messages for an hour or whatever, and then I'll pop it in the group chat. I'm like, hey, now it's time for me to spend time with my family. I did this for like an hour. If I didn't get back to you yet, I will get back to you tomorrow. Like I answer oldest to newest, like you will get a response. And people are like, oh, great. Have a great night. Like it's fine. But for
Yeah.
years, I
Mm.
was like, I have to, have to, have to, have to. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not helping anyone.
Yeah.
Like, this is not good.
It
You're not
was
getting my best self. No one's getting my best self. No one in that situation.
I remember when I first started in coaching, I coached girls who did fitness competitions, and that's just a completely different mindset there too.
hmm
Um,
It's
and I,
crazy. It's a crazy world.
yes, yes, and I remember I would be up to like 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
like because I was the response time was 48 hours, and I'd be up to 11 o'clock at night, like answering like questions, and then finally I was like, look, here are my hours. And I was like, some people, and you know this from coaching.
hmm
Some people, it's like, oh, Stephanie, boom, 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 and you can like easily give her like do this and move on.
Yeah.
And then there are other Stephanies who are like, okay, how do I say this in a nice way, right? So you're just
Yes.
like, okay, how do like some people need like a little bit more like boom, boom,
hmm
boom. Others you could be like, do A, B, and C. Good luck. And
Yeah.
so I'd be up like answering all, and I was like, finally, I was like, guys, I love you, but here's how I gotta go. I'm like, I'm stressing myself out. And when I set that boundary, I was like, I was nervous as hell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I'm teaching you to do that. Like, I'm
hmm
teaching you that for your own, whatever you do for work, that unless you are a surgeon, nothing that you do is mission critical,
Yep.
right? And
100%.
I'm like, I get there are deadlines, absolutely, but like 9 times out of 10, it's here. This is my deadline,
Yep. 100%.
and it was like one freeing for me that I was like, you know what? I am not going to be staying up till 11 o'clock at night because I'm exhausted and I don't know what the hell I'm saying right now.
Well, that's just it. It's like I want to give you my full divided attention when I do answer. And so if I can't or my like head isn't totally there, it is better for me to delay it. You will get a better answer and you will be happier anyways. And so I think it is just we put so much pressure on ourselves that nobody has asked us to do. And
Hmm.
we care so much about trying to control things that we can't control, how people view us, how they feel, how our words are going to make them feel, like their actions. We try to control things that we literally have zero control over on a day-to-day basis. And that's exhausting because
Ugh.
you are giving your power to something to dictate your mood that you have no control over. So therefore they control you. That's not a good situation to be in because that's also
Nope.
very stressful. And so that's where you have to focus on the being better, the focusing on the process, focusing on the things that you can control, like your boundaries and your health and your choices and your self-care. Because if we're going to run our lives dictated on how other people feel, how they view us, their opinions, like you're hooped, right? Like you are
Yep.
going to be so stressed forever because you cannot control that.
And it's funny that you talk about, there's two things that you said that I think really deserve unpacking. You talked about controlling other people.
Hmm.
And I think for so many women listening, that's the conversation here. Oh,
Hmm.
my kids do whatever the hell your kids do, and it makes you nutso. And so you got to try to
Yeah.
control that. Or my spouse, drinks too much, or my spouse works too much, or my spouse just makes me batshit crazy, whatever it is. And then you're trying to micromanage their
Hmm.
behavior. And I think for many women, like that is like takes that salad plate and turns it into like a teacup.
Literally, honestly. And you see this all the time. And a lot of the time this is happening from a young age, right? Like for myself in particular, I know it came from like abuse in my family. So I would
Mhm.
try to like control the environment, try and bring people's stress down, try and control what like my sister said, she wouldn't upset like a parent, make sure I was
Right,
trying to like diffuse the situation, control how my mom felt and nurture her, but then also try and like protect her from my dad and try to diffuse him and try and control how he's feeling. Like you did it because you had to, but then you
right.
don't realize that you're bringing this on in every area of your life. That is not good. Like that was done out of survival.
Mm,
We don't need to like create that survival environment into every place where we go, whether it's other relationships, our own health, with friends, our home environment. Like we don't have to do that, right? And so
right.
it's really hard, especially because a lot of people with the control aspect of things, it comes from like lack of control in childhood, or you had to try and like
Be
survive,
safe,
honestly,
right?
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I see a lot of the controls, especially like I said, I came from the fitness competitor group, and there was a lot of like things outside of their control in their lives that
Yes.
food and workouts became that like I can control this.
Yep.
I
Yep.
can't control all the madness around me, but this is what I control. So it was really hard to like separate church and state
Yep. Big time. Big time.
when
Yeah,
it
no,
comes to
that's
that.
it is tough. The mindset side of stuff is really hard, but that's where you have to keep that curious mindset because otherwise you're going to get stuck in it forever, right? And so if you
Yeah.
can't be curious about it and like, oh, where did this kind of come from? Where was like the first time I felt I had to do this? Or where was the first time I can remember someone like how they acted or said something like affected me where I all of a sudden became self-conscious or I was trying to please someone like where did
Yeah.
that first come from? And so being curious about it, which isn't easy, right? But it,
No.
it takes time, but we don't realize how much those things affect us on our health and fitness journey, our stress. Like we don't connect the dots because we don't want to like think about those things, right? And so
No.
it can be painful sometimes, but it is. Oh man, like once you have that awareness, it sets you free because you're like, oh, that's because of this. This is not that same situation anymore. I have control over this thing, not over that thing. I'm not going to try and control that anymore. We're good, right? And so, but it takes time. It
Yeah,
takes time.
one of my favorite words is curious.
Mhm.
Curious and courage are my two favorite words. And you're right. It's for especially, the women in their 40s, we were at the bleeding edge of diet culture. And it
Yes.
was always like, here are the 5 steps to a tighter tush, 5 steps to,
Hmm.
6 pack abs. And it was always felt like if I had the certainty, right? It was a guarantee pretty much that if
Hmm.
I did step 1, 2, 3, and I would immediately get all the results. And then I was like, but how long do those results last? Right.
Yes,
And so you're talking about, I want to be curious about like, I might not know what the steps are, but I know that what I'm doing doesn't work. And,
exactly.
I know you present a different way of doing things. I present a different way of doing things. And a lot of people freak right the hell out
Hmm.
because it isn't this yellow brick road.
No.
Like, and we're just like, yeah, there is a yellow brick road, but that might not be for you. And I won't know
Hmm.
until we go down the path. And like you said,
Exactly.
there might be a detour. And that
Yep.
is a stressor for some people because they want to see the 1 through 10.
Oh, 100%. And like we'll do that. We'll have like a roadmap and we're like, this is like based off of where you are today. This doesn't include if you get sick, if there's a surgery, if there's a stress, if there's a loss. There's so much. And we also need to understand like where are you right now? Because like if I
Yes.
pop into Google Maps that I want to get to wherever, Las Vegas, let's say, if it doesn't know where I am, I literally can't get directions, right? And so
Hmm.
I can drive for years and never get to Las Vegas. I will waste so much money, so much time. I'll be so frustrated. I'll be so exhausted from sitting in this dang car forever and potentially never even get there. And so, in order to know where you are, like we need to know where you've also been, right? Like
Yeah.
what's your past traumas like? What are the sources of stressor in your life? What's your past dieting history? How's your energy, your sleep, your digestion, your hormones? What are the things that you've struggled with, the symptoms? Because all of those things are all clues. Your body is telling us where things are not functioning optimally and gives you ideas as to where to start. And everyone is going to be so incredibly different because there is so much diversity, which is beautiful. But also, the human body is not a machine, right? Like
Right.
one of my mentors, Vince Pitstick, he always says, the body is an ecosystem, not a machine. A machine, you can like
Yes.
switch one dial and you know exactly how it's going to affect everything. In an ecosystem, you take away mosquitoes, we don't like mosquitoes, but the whole ecosystem goes to crap. All of a sudden, birds are dying off. We got
Right.
vegetation doing weird things, right? And so it's understanding that you can add like a mosquito back in, but how it's going to affect the whole ecosystem is different. If you add in different predators, how is that going to affect the ecosystem, right? So your body is not a machine. We have to really understand the ecosystem of your body because all the systems of your body work together. This is where specialists are great when we have a very specific issue, but thyroid is affected by stress, of lack of carbohydrates, iodine in your diet, the kinds of exercise you do, your sleep, right? Whereas we also know like heart health is going to be affected by like stress and hydration, and also like everything communicates. All your hormones, estrogen impacts all the systems in your body. So we have to understand that we have to zoom out a bit and look at the body globally to really understand where is your stress coming from realistically? Why are you having this thing? It's not, oh, your thyroid's this, so now let's give you medication. It's, okay, your thyroid is this. Why?
Right.
Why is it here? Let's dig deeper and look at the other systems to get a better idea as to how is the body functioning as a whole. That's way more useful than being like, here's your lab number. I can't do anything until it drops. So I'm just going to leave it and leave it and leave it and leave it. And oh, now it's bad enough. Now I'm going to treat you and give you a pill because now I have a solution for you, which that's not solving the problem, right?
Not at
Why
all.
is this happening in the first place? And so I think that's a really big part too, is just we need to understand where your body is, but nobody wants to take the time to learn that. And it's also very hard to find people who can teach you that because
Mm.
a lot of people aren't trained in this, right? Which is really too bad.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Um, I love the analogy about the ecosystem because you're right. Most of us have been taught, and it's like, I hear the people like, I'm supposed to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. If I drop 500 calories, and it's just like, I'm like, if that really worked, would we still be saying those same things over and over and over again? It's like, even if you
Hmm.
lost point 0.2 of a pound, take the win. Like,
Hmm.
take the win.
But also take your weekly averages of your weight because,
Right.
like, yeah, today I'm almost 2 pounds lighter than I was yesterday. But then, like, when I look at throughout the week, it's like up 1.5 pounds, down zero point 0.8, up by zero point 0.6, down by 1.2, up by 2. Like, your weight fluctuates so much based off of like the types of foods you ate, because of how much water it's going to absorb, digestibility, how hard it is to break down, the fiber content, the protein, inflammatory responses. Did you work out harder the day before? Where are you in your cycle? Did you sleep well last night? That's going to increase inflammation if you didn't, and that's going to make the scale go up. Like there's so many things that can influence one number. And so
Oh
it's
God, yeah.
so important to understand it's not just I put the coin in, press the button on the vending machine and get what I want.
Right.
It's not like that. It's
I
not
know.
like that.
And the analogy just it just I love it because it's like you said, like I put the coin in and like those vending machines that like have the coils and like
Yes.
sometime your like treat could
It's
get
just
like
dangling
stuck.
there.
Yeah. So it's like for so many people, like if it's dangling there, all of a sudden they're freaking out that like it means something, right?
Yeah.
Versus it's just dangling and I might have to shake the machine a little bit more.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's where it is. But a couple of questions that popped into my head is that like I feel like we also are part of supplement nation.
Ugh.
That just because you and I now are talking having this conversation, you and I'm going to go on my Instagram and there's going to be 5 million things talking to me about stress and supplements that can help me with
Mhm.
that. What are your feelings on supplements?
They can be helpful tools if things are already working, right? So, like, do I think most women should be on magnesium? Yes, because we're like seriously depleted of magnesium. Stress depletes it. I think magnesium is great. I think vitamin B is great. I think omega-3 is great. Vitamin D is great, right? Those are like the staples that we do. I think creatine is awesome too. So that's something I do recommend to women. But there's so much fancy crap out there, so much fancy crap and no regulations around it.
Nope.
And some stuff can be helpful. Don't get me wrong, there's some medical grade stuff that can help. However, that supplement will not take you for a walk. That
Nope.
supplement is not going to put you to bed on time. It is not going to make you lift weights. It is not going to give you all the nutrients that you need. It is not going to solve your relationship stress. It's not going to solve all the problems. And it's like putting a turbo on a old junky car. It's not going to do much for its performance. If you put a turbo on a vehicle that you've put, time cleaning up the engine and making sure things work well, man, now I think can accelerate and you'll see the effects typically from that supplement better, as opposed to someone who's like, digestion's not good, our body can't absorb it. Like we see this with women on HRT and GLPs all the time where they feel worse on it, or all of a sudden they start gaining weight, or they have really poor energy. The symptoms get worse. And this is because can your body absorb it, break it down, use it, and then get rid of it?
Right.
Nobody pays attention to that. And it's the same thing with supplements. And so, yes, you can go on things and feel worse because your body can't utilize it because you didn't do the things to set yourself up for success so that your body can use it well. And this is where so many women go wrong because we
Mm,
think, oh, I can take this. It's a vending machine analogy, right? I'll take this and I'll get that. And that's not true because we don't know, is the coin even able to get in there? And then can the
yeah.
signaling even go to the vending machine to like move the coil? Is the coil actually going to move? Like there's so many parts that we just don't think of. And so can it help with some stuff? Yes, but that doesn't mean it's going to if the machine itself isn't actually functioning well, right? So we have
Yeah.
to we have to think about that aspect of things. So are there supplements I think most women should take? Yes, but they're super generic. You should also be getting it from food.
Yeah.
And you got to do the other stuff first. Like if you're dehydrated, you can take all the anti-inflammatory type supplements that you want. You're always going to struggle with inflammation because dehydration breeds inflammation, which is going to block fat burning. Like simple. Like that's one very
Right.
simple, simple thing that can help, right? And
Right.
people are just
And
like, nah, it can't be water. I must have to spend
right.
$70 on this complicated supplement or this crazy nutritional protocol. When it's like, no, like why do we push away the simple stuff so much?
Right.
We
They're
don't
like,
give it enough time
spend
to work.
$10, get a water bottle and fill it.
Literally. Literally. Like we all want these fancy things. And I'm like, the
Yeah.
fancy things suck. Like, you don't want to go on some crazy elimination diet, do a SIBO protocol if you don't have to, because they are not fun.
No.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you just started feeling better because you started eating more, you got enough protein, and you started drinking water? That'd be really cool. But most of us are just like, we're so used to being high achievers, go, 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 that we're like,
Right.
we're used to having to push and be resilient, but this therefore must be more complicated, right?
Right.
It's
It's
crazy.
boring. It's
Yeah, it's
like
crazy what we do. I'm like, just
And
go
it's
buy
just,
yourself a cute water bottle. Make it less boring. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I remember when I first, started coaching, and my coach was like, just like document your day. And I was like, my day's boring. And she goes, people need to see that. People need to see that, like, all you're like, I try to drink four of these. I I eat this. Like it's like every day. Like I
Yeah.
don't like every day isn't like I'm Martha Stewart like out there like, oh, I'm grabbing some chickens and then I'm going back here. Like
Oh,
no,
yeah.
she's like it's like I think most people want the magic, right? That they think it's just like
Hmm.
all these crazy things I'm doing. And I'm like, no, every day it's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and
Yep.
repeat.
But it's funny. It's like when people document their day, I'm like, I don't do some crazy wild morning routine. I do
No,
not look beautiful when I wake up in the morning. I look like Medusa. My kitchen is a war zone. So I
right,
don't typically film stuff in there, right? My bathroom mirror, I've been saying I've had to wash it for like a week. I still haven't done it. Like
right,
it's real life. It's boring. I'm wearing sweatpants right now. The beauty of podcasting. I'm not walking around in
right.
cute little like matching outfit things. Like I'm not. So people like document your day and I'm like, but it's not that pretty. I'll be
I look a
honest.
step, I look two stages away from homelessness. That
Yes. I'm wearing bright green sweatpants right now.
right. I was like, I walk around my house sometimes, and my husband's like, I don't get you, and I'm like, it's fine, it's fine, we're all good.
Yeah, everything is fine.
But yeah, it's like both of us are boring. Like I don't. If it was complicated, I can't do it.
No,
I've
I'm
tried.
inherently a very lazy person. Like
I've tried
business and stuff,
complicated.
absolutely. Day to day, absolutely not. I am a
No.
lazy person.
Yeah, I've tried complicated, and it really don't work for me.
Mm-mm.
I get like if I miss a step, then I'm like, ah, shit, I got to go back and do this. I can't really think too much about those kind of things. So I really try to keep my stuff as simple as uncomplicated as possible. And as I was kind of stalking you, that's one of the things I gravitated for about you is like, and I really like that. And I think more of us in this health and fitness space need to start being more boring. Like that's
Yeah.
that's our cadence, boring.
Yeah. Boring and simple because like it's life happens. Ain't no one got time for like a 12-step morning routine. Like I'm
No.
done with seeing those on the Instagram. Like they should be gone.
Oh, no, I don't have time to wash my face and then I don't have the time for that.
No, no, no.
So I do a speed round with all
Okay.
of my guests. So, what's one stress myth that needs to die already?
Stress myth?
Hmm.
That's a tough one. I would say that's um the whole like sleep when you're dead thing, I think,
Oh,
is like
yes.
when people are like, you need to be productive all the time. So the sleep when you're dead mentality, that's gotta go. It's gotta go.
Yeah, it does. What's your personal stress relief go-to?
For me, it is definitely time in like prayer and devotional and time in my Bible for sure. And carbs. Carbs are real good for stress relief, you guys. Like
Yeah, they
actually,
are.
very good.
Right. Um, how would someone who identifies as busy, what's one way that you would be like, what's one step you would say, like, let's try this week?
Honestly, eat enough food. Eat enough food is the easiest thing to lower stress in your life. So you could maintain the lifestyle that you want to maintain until you're ready to get rid of it. Make sure you're eating enough food. That's a really big one.
And do you have a favorite book or a podcast about people navigating stress or burnout?
I don't have one on stress, but I have one on identity that I love. It's more of a faith-based
Ooh,
book. It's called David Perceived You as King. And it talks a lot about identity and figuring out who you are. Because once you can figure out who you are, it makes people pleasing a lot less likely to occur,
ooh.
which takes a massive amount of stress off your body. So I really love it. It's actually a pretty quick read. It does have faith-based things in there, but the actual messaging in it, if you're not like a Christian, is actually really, really good. And so I do recommend that one quite often.
Say that again. I want to put the link in the show notes.
David perceived he was king.
Um, I love that because many of the stresses I think women put on ourselves is the identity either we've given to ourselves or
Hmm.
someone has given to me.
Exactly.
I had a client be like, well, I'm the girl who goes to the gym. And so it's like even on those days when you're just like could barely like put your Lulus on, you still have to go to the gym because you're the
Yep.
girl who's on Stairmaster 5 at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, the Stairmaster.
Yeah, doing
My least
kickbacks.
favorite thing in the world.
Oh my, it's so funny. Like when I walk into the gym and I see the big step mill, I'm like, oh my God, how many hours did I spend on that damn thing?
Oh yeah, I'm just like I did it one time, I think it was a few months ago. I did it for like the first time in like 2 years. It lasted like 5 minutes. I'm like, how do people do this all the
I
time?
know. I'm like, I would be on there for like, I could probably have like cured cancer on that thing.
Oh, so brutal. So brutal. I
Yeah,
hate that machine.
it is. It's horrible. And what is one habit that you swear by, even when life is lifing hard?
For me, breakfast. Breakfast, no matter what. I know I know even on my worst day, I can get a good breakfast in, higher protein. I know that's going to give me the energy for the day. I'm going to be more likely to do the things that I want to do. If I skip breakfast or there's not much protein in there, I do. I feel crappy all day. I have cravings. I don't have good energy. It is key for me that I start my day that way. Makes a massive difference. Massive difference.
And then finish the sentence. Stress used to mean, but now I see it as.
Hmm. Stress used to be necessary.
Hmm.
Now I view it as like a boundary setter. Like
Ooh,
when I start feeling really stressed, it's a time for me to kind of reassess things and say, what do I actually have to be responsible for? Where is this coming from? Are there boundaries that I need to set in place to, protect this? Or, I can still get stuff done and like meet and do whatever I need to do, but it's a boundary, it's a filter. It's not a wall to keep people out. It's a filter for if we do this, then I can do this, right? Like if you can respect
that's
these
really good.
boundaries, then you can like enter in. It's not meant to keep people out or things out. It's a filter. So I find that when
Right.
I'm stressed, it's a good, okay, I need to reset and like reassess everything. What boundaries am I letting slip? Because usually there's something that I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, just letting in that
Yeah.
I shouldn't be anymore.
Yeah. No, that was really good. That is good because you're right. Especially as you kind of start to realize, like, when you start to lower your stress levels and you start to feel stressed, and you're like, all right, you're kind of like, what's going on? Like, something's out of place, and I don't know what it is. And
Hmm.
when you take that 5 minutes to zoom in and be like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really good one. And so I ask all of my guests one final question. What's one thing that makes you feel magical?
I think the one thing that makes me feel magical is when I am talking with people and you just get that feeling of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I am
Yeah.
right where I'm
Mm,
supposed to be. And it's just, you can feel it in your chest, you can feel it in your hands. Like, you
yeah.
feel shaky, but like in a good way. And it's like, this is what I was made for. And I think a lot of us don't have that feeling often enough.
Yes.
And so when you do have that feeling of like, oh, this is the moment or this is what I was made for, you have to write it down and do more of that because that is what you were
Yeah.
supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those like, when you get those like kind of spidey senses, it's just like
Yep.
listen to when it happens. Oh, I absolutely love it. And so, Stephanie, where can people find you on the interwebs, on the socials?
Yeah, so we have our podcast called the Metabolism and Menopause Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at vitalityoet.stephanie. Then we do have a Facebook community as well with over 26,000 women in there
Oh,
with
wow.
access to so many resources and guides and webinar recordings. And that's called Metabolism and Menopause by Vitality. So you can find us there as well.
Awesome. This has been such a great conversation. And Magic Makers, I would love for you to just say, what's one takeaway or 500 takeaways? Because I know I got some notes right here that I've taken. We'd love to hear it and tag us in our socials. And we'd love to hear from you and, hop into our community because I'm sure the things I talk about, the things she talks about will be a great, like, nice hybrid for all of you. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for taking your time today to speak with us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.